Welcome guys. Welcome to my new YouTube channel, Fundamentals of Economics. This is my part 1 video on microeconomics. Today I am going to explain the law of variable proportion. It is an important chapter in microeconomics. So before going to explain the law of variable proportions, we have to clear or we need some fundamental ideas on this law. So that's why we have to know what is the production function. What is the production function? Production function is a purely technical relation with factor inputs and outputs, and hence it describes the law of production, that is the transformation from factor inputs into and outputs. I will say it again. First of all, we have to understand what is the production function. Actually, production function is a correlation. Production function depicts the technical relation of factor inputs and outputs. It describes the law of production, that is the transformation from factor inputs and factor inputs into an outputs. So in general, law of production means technological transformation from inputs into an outputs. In mathematically, while we go to represent it into function, that is, suppose Q is equal to the function of K, L, T, etc. Here Q is represent output and K is capital, L is labor and T is technology. Or we may write it, suppose it is M plus, and M is other factors. Suppose here this Q is the dependent variable and here is the functional variable. Here this is the independent variable and this is the dependent variable. Here output is always depends upon input. That means output always depends upon these all factors. So this is the technological relationship from inputs into one outputs. Try to understand this. So after this we come to the production function. Actually production function are of two types. Try to understand this. Production function are of two types. One is short-term production function. Second one is long-term production function. Short-term production function and long-term production function. What do you mean by short-term production function? Short-term production function is referred to the production in short term. Try to understand this. Short-term production function refers to the production in short term. That means production are taking place in short run period of time, which is resulting from the input, from the all inputs. So basically production means it is a input and output relations, isn't it? So production function, short-term production function, that means it refers to the production in short term, where there has some of fixed factors and some of variable factors. Actually, while we are going to explain the factors, there has two types of factor. One is fixed factor and another one is variable factors. Mostly we have to know about these two factors. One is fixed factor, second one is variable factors. Fixed factors means those inputs or those factors which are purely fixed in production process. Basically that shows in short term or that shows in short term production function. And here in short-term production function, all the factors are not fixed for a producer. Some of fixed factors and some of variable factors. So in short-term production function, production may take place through the sum of fixed factors and sum of variable factors. That means you never think that in short-term period of time all these factors are fixed, because of a rational producer always want to earn profit. Either that may be short-run period of time or that may be long-run period of time. And if you ask me, have you a question? If you ask me that how is possible, just see this. Just see this. In short-run period of time, what will happen? We are using some of fixed factor, and rational producer has one axiom, that is to earn profit. And in short-term production function, how a rational producer will earn profit in production process? Because of in short-term production function, some amounts of inputs are fixed. That means we cannot vary it as respect to output or as increasing to the level of output. That means suppose I am taking land in short-term period of time. That means land is a fixed factor, you know it. Land is always fixed. So in short-term period of time, there are some fixed factors and some of variable factors. If we want to produce more level of output for getting our profit level, for getting our maximum profit level, we need we have to increase some of variable factors with keeping constant of small factors with constating some amount of fixed factors. Because of in short-run production function, a rational producer will earn its profit if that rational producer will keeping some amount of fixed factors as constant, and within this, if a rational producer will want to increase one more unit of variable factor, then a rational producer may earn its profit. So that's why try to understand this. In short-term production function, all that you never think that all the factors may not be varied. You always think that. You never think that the in short-term production function both factors are proportionally varied. No, never. Because of in short-term production function, the law of variable proportion comes under within this. Because of this law of variable proportion is based upon the short-term production function. Because of according to the law of variable proportion, or law of variable proportion states that the production level or the output level may be increased as increase in the sum input of variable factors. So try to understand this. What does this law state? This law states that the production level or the output level may be increases while some of other factors are holding constant, and within this, if we are increasing some one additional unit of variable factor, then there has some addition of the total output, isn't it? So that much level of output increases. So this is called the law of variable proportion. That means, in general words, why this law of variable proportion is taking place? Because of one thing behind on this, in this law of variable proportion, both factors are combinedly vary. Try to understand this. In this law of variable proportions, both factors are combinedly vary. Not only all factors are vary or proportional vary, both factors are combinedly vary. That means some factors are fixed in nature, and out of this there are some variable factors, And if we want to increase our production level or output level, then we have to use some variable factors. We have to use some of variable factors. So in the short-term production function, we will see the law of variable proportion, or the law of variable proportion comes out from the short-term production function. And here this is the long-term production function. Long-term production function refers to the production in long term, where all inputs we may increase simultaneously or proportionately. Try to understand this. In long term production function, it refers to the production in long term. Here we may increase the production or the level of output with using all factors, and that factors are maybe increases combinedly or simultaneously or proportionally. Because of here the time period is too long, it is a long gestation time period. If we want to produce more level of output, if we so want to increase some fixed amount of factors, then we may add it, that we may increase our level of output through using this fixed factor and variable factors, not only in simultaneously but also in proportionally also. So now we come, and here one thing I have already left it from this long-term production function. In long-term production function, we will see the law of returns to scale, which I will explain in my next videos. The long-term production function. Actually, now we come to the law of variable proportion. Guys, it's a very important topic on microeconomics. It is also very hard, but while you understand this thoroughly, then it should be very easy for you. Actually, it's a trick. We have to understand this trick. The law of variable proportion is otherwise known as law of non-proportional returns. Law of non-proportional returns. What is? Law of non-proportional returns. And this law is also otherwise known as law of diminishing marginal returns. Law of diminishing marginal returns. Try to understand this, guys. I had already explained you fixed factor and variable factor, and short-term production function, long-term production function. This law of variable production, this law of variable proportion is coming under the short-term production function. And I had already explained also the definition of the law of variable proportion. Because of while the law of variable proportion is coming under the short-term production function, in short-term production function, the production level we may increase with using some amount of fixed factor and variable factor. And if we so want to increase our production level with holding constant some amount of fixed factors, if we are adding some amount of variable factor for increasing our production level, then whatever the output that will we get out of that increasing the variable factors, that is called the law of variable proportions. So that's why this is purely based upon short-term production function. So I had already explained it. Now I will explain the law of variable proportion. This is otherwise known as law of non-proportional returns and law of diminishing marginal returns. Actually, some of earlier economists, such as Marshall, and Ricardo. Perhaps you may not know this topic, but I will explain you. This actually this law, we may say that this is developed by John Robinson. We may express it that this law was developed by John Robinson. The law of diminishing returns. This law was used by the Marshallian theory of production and Ricardian theory of rent. That means in case of Ricardian theory of rent and Marshallian theory of production function, they uses the law of variable proportion or law of diminishing returns. Actually, they use they formulated their law out of this law of variable proportions. And hence we have to understand that and before going to the law of variable proportion, I will also explain. Actually my aim is to clear your fundamentals. Then the next videos will be uploaded very soon, and I will also explain all the fundamental ideas on each and every concept of economics, such as microeconomics, macroeconomics, and I will also upload some of current affairs per day, which is related to economics. So let it go. Before going to the law of variable proportion, we have to also understand some of fundamental concepts. We need to understand the average product, marginal product, total product. After understanding this average product, total product and marginal product, we clearly and thoroughly understand the law of variable proportion and total product. I will first explain the short points, then I come to the main points of law of variable proportion, and I will also explain it through the table and diagram. Okay, do not be worried, keep patience and try to understand the fundamental concepts. If you do not understand me, then comments on my description box, then I will explain it further. Total product and average product and marginal product. After understanding this, we will clearly and thoroughly understand the law of variable proportion. Here, total product. Total product is the total level of output resulting from using all the inputs. Again, total product is the total level of output resulting from using all inputs or inputs. This is total product. And average product. Average product is the total product divided by the units of inputs. So suppose average product, we may define it. This is the total product. Suppose Q is the total product and L is the amount of labor. Then I may say that average product is the total amount of labor divided by total amount of output divided by amount of inputs. Understand this? Then we come to the marginal product. Marginal product means change in the total product, change in the total output with respect to change in the level of input. Understand this? Change in the total output, with respect to change in the inputs. Suppose L is the amount of labor and L is the amounts of inputs. What do we mean by marginal product? This is the change in the total output with respect to change in the inputs. That means marginal product means change in the output with respect to the change in labor. Here I will explain it also clearly. That suppose I am producing 10 units of output, with using uh, 5 units of labor. 5 units of labor. Okay guys, suppose I had already explained you the definition that change in the level of total output with respect to or with that represents change in the total output with taking to the change in the inputs. So if now I am going to produce 12 units of output, if that 12 units of output I am going to produce with using 7 units of labor. That means what is the ratio? What is the ratio between the change in output and change in labor? We have to find it. First of all, for producing 10 level of output, we are using 5 units of labor, and for producing this much level of output, we are requiring 7 units of labor. That means for changing from this much level of output to this level of output, there has a change has been taken place on inputs, that from this to this. So this is nothing but this is the change in the output with if there has taken place that there has change in the output due to the change in the inputs, that is labor maybe, if I am taking so that's all about the total product, average product and marginal product. Now we come to the topic. In law of variable proportion, we will see 3 stages. I hope before going to represent the 3 stages of the law of variable proportion, I need to explain the table of this law of variable proportion, which gives you the very fundamental ideas to understand the diagram also. So we have to understand the tables, then we will come to the diagram. Let us see. Fixed factors, variable factors, total product, marginal product, average. Fixed factor. That means fixed factor means inputs are fixed in nature in production, such as fixed missing nights, fixed factor. Variable factors, that means try to understand this. What is the fundamental ideas on the law of variable proportion? And after this, I will explain it again with very easy manner. The variable factors, are those factors out of that we may increase our production level with adding extra units of variable factors. Suppose variable factors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Understand this? And here, suppose first of all, for a clear picture of this, I will write the marginal product. Suppose here I am getting 2 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 and minus. Suppose because of I will write it first marginal product because of for clearly understanding total product. Here the total product is 2. The total product is 2 in first test because of in this test first of all first I am going to produce any product 2 and this is 5, this is 9, this is 12, this is 14, this is 15. Sorry guys, this is 2, this is 5, this is 9, this is 12, this is 14, this is 15, this is 15, this is clear. This is nothing, this is just the adding 1 unit of the marginal product. You may say it that 2 to 2, 3 to 5, 5 4 9, 9 3 12. Okay, and here average product, I had already told you that average product is the total product divided by the units of inputs. So that is suppose 2, total product is 2 divided by 1, it is 2. This is 5 divided by 2, this is 2.5, isn't it? In this way we will find out the average product. This is nothing but try to understand this, and out of this I will explain each and everything. Okay, so here in this law of variable proportion there has 3 stages. I had already expressed to you. These 3 stages are: first is increasing returns to factor, second stage is diminishing returns to factor, third stage is negative returns to factor. Here increasing returns to factor, decreasing returns to factor and negative returns to factor. I will also explain it thoroughly. It's nothing. You have to understand it and you have to write it in your exam paper from your own languages. Nothing to be worried. It takes a long time because of I want to clear your fundamentals only. So that's why I will explain it in general terms and in simple language. So please keep patience and watch this video till the end. And here this is increasing returns to factor. That means here what returns that will I get from factors or inputs, that will I get at increasing rate. What do you mean by increasing returns from factor? Don't focus on most terms. Try to understand the concept. What do you mean by increasing returns to factor? We will get return from factors or from factor inputs, and whatever the product or whatever the output that will I get as in returns, that is in increasing terms, or that in terms at increasing rate. So in this way, diminishing returns to factor, that means whatever the returns that will I get from using the factors, that will I get in diminishing returns, and in this way also this is the returns will be negative terms. Understand? After this, one thing I recently told you that returns in increasing rate, returns in diminishing rate. Understand this? Increasing in returns rate. That means suppose, try to understand this concept guys. Don't miss it. So sometimes the students, they do not know what is the increases at increasing rate and increases what at decreasing rate. So try to understand this. Suppose 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. This amount of labor I will use in my production, and out of this, suppose I am getting 15 levels of output, 17 levels of output. Because of we know that if we are using one additional unit of variable factors, then our production level also goes up, isn't it? So that's why the production level is also goes up again and again. So that's why 15, 17, 19, 21 and 22. Here increasing returns to factor means these are the factors or inputs we are using in production process. So in this way, if the factors are increasing at an increasing rate, understand this, it increases at an increasing rate. So in this way, output is also increases at increasing rate. See this, 15 to 17, 17 to 19, 19 to 21, 21 to 22, 21 to 22. This increases at an increasing rate. What increases at a decreasing rate means, suppose 15, 17 increases, 19, but thereafter increases. What? At a decreasing rate. Understand this? Increases, but at a decreasing rate. Clear? Here, this is first stage. This is first stage. This is increasing returns. Here, this is second stage, that is diminishing returns factor, and this is third stage, that is negative returns to. Here guys, this is stage 1, stage 1, this is stage 2, and this is stage. Understand this table? Now we come to the diagram, and out of this diagram we will clearly understand the whole analysis of the law of variable proportion, that how a rational producer will choose which stage for that a rational producer will go to produce any product. Try to understand this. We have already known that these three stages, increasing returns to factor, diminishing returns to factor, and negative returns to factor. I had also already given to you all the perfect definition of that three things. Here, this diagram I will be uploaded so soon, and I will explain this law of variable proportion out of the following diagram, for which we will clearly understand at which stage a rational producer will produce and why a rational producer will choose that stage for producing goods and services, or for producing goods. So I just give you some hints of that. That is, a rational producer will choose to the second stage. Our second stage name is diminishing returns to factor. A rational producer always choose to produce in the second stage. Okay, why? I will explain it in my upcoming next videos, and you will wait for that. I will upload it very soon. Why a rational producer will not choose the stage 1 for producing goods and services, why a rational producer will choose to the second stage, and why a rational producer will not choose to the third stages, why a rational producer will choose to the second stage only. And before going to that, I am giving you some hints and you find the solution. In first stage, a rational producer will not choose because of the marginal product of fixed factor is negative. But understand this, why a rational producer will not choose the first stage? Because of, what is that? The marginal product of fixed factors are negative. So that's why a rational producer will not choose in stage 1, and the stage 3, that is also a rational producer will not choose for producing goods. Why? Because of here marginal product of variable factors are also negative. So due to these two reasons, a rational producer will not choose to produce. This is a very important question. And a rational producer always choose to produce the second stage because of here the average product and marginal product decreases, but at a decreasing rate or positive rate. That's why a rational producer will choose to the second stage. And out of this all, I will explain it so soon in diagram, and out of that I will also explain all these ideas on law of variable proportion. Actually, I want to explain all the fundamental ideas of law of variable proportions, and I will explain all the fundamental ideas or all the fundamental concepts of all the laws of microeconomics. So it will take so a long time period, so please keep patience and watch this video from start to end. Thank you.